new year,
Happy
and I
New Year.
hope these first, I guess, 8 or 9 days, week, almost week and a half, is going well for you. So, how is everything going?
Everything is we blessed to see a new year. And, so was able to celebrate uh, another trip around the sun for myself as well. And that time
When
frame,
was your birthday?
January 3rd.
January
Yeah,
3rd.
so
Okay, that's
I'm
what's
dealing with
up.
the New Year's things, things of that nature. So, but everything is, you just blessed to be here in 2026 and with good health, of course. And
Right, right, definitely. Okay, that's what's up. All right, so today's topic is sexual discipline. So, well, let me go back really quick. So we rebranded from the last time you were on the show. So basically, we have like a different logo, different name, all of that. So we tried to cater things and market things so that we were more intentional with our audience, basically. So we are officially Millennial Moods. And we are, this is our, well, this will be my second episode of the new year. But like I said, we are under a rebrand now that I'm very excited about. And there is some associated merch that we are going to be launching sometime next month during Black History Month. So I'm very excited about that. So
yeah, it's an
look
exciting
out for.
time. So
Yeah,
that's
I know. I know. So, I want to say, first of all, before real quick, I want to say thank you, number one, because when you did come on the show on last year and I looked at like our numbers and stuff like that on social media. So, on Instagram, we hit like just over 1,000 views just on the clips and whatnot that we were running from your interview segment. And then also on YouTube, we just hit about 1,000 views as well. So really, just over between both platforms, a little bit over 2,000 views to our YouTube channel, and that's all because of you. And so I just want to say thank you so much. I guess your persona and things that you were saying really resonated with people, all different ages. As you know, our target audience is millennials, but just looking at analytics, it wasn't just millennials, but it was all age groups. The baby boomers, older people, middle aged people. So yeah, we got over 2,000, over 2K views just from what you had to say on the topic on your when you were speaking with us the last time. So just thank you again so much for being
thanks for
so
having me.
willing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I never really kind of uh, look back at those types of things. I know for your business, and that's what you have to do. But happy that whatever we said during the time that it resonated with people, and content is good. We need to have these
Yeah.
kind of conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so today we are talking about sexual discipline. All right, so basically, this is a topic for obviously cater again towards millennials, but so male and female perspective. I definitely want to get a male perspective on the topic because I know a lot of times on podcasts or social media, a lot of times you have women that are at the forefront of the conversation, and they express their views and how they feel when it comes to sexual encounters with men or whatever the case may be. And so I really want to get a male perspective on the topic. I want to give you a little bit of research,
Mhm.
if you will, before I ask the question. So the first part of research that I want to introduce is coming from PubMed. And so it is saying that millennials report lower levels of sexual activity compared to earlier generations, despite popular perceptions of being a hookup culture. And so, just a quick part of this research, it says that a large national survey data show that millennials and even younger cohorts are more likely to report having no sexual partners in young adulthood compared with Gen X. For example, among those aged about 20 to 24, 15% of millennials had no sexual partners since age 18, compared with about 6% for Generation X born in the 1960s and 70s. indicating that there is some type of generational shift towards greater sexual inactivity rather than hypersexual behavior. So back to the topic. So when we say sexual discipline, like what is your definition in your head of what that means? And then also kind of taking into account about the research saying that millennials have reported lower levels of sexual activity compared to other generations.
That's actually that's it's always funny because you know I don't I don't know to hear myself being considered a millennial. I
Hmm.
always chuckle at that. Um, it just doesn't seem like that would be fit.
You might right be before the
Yeah, kind of
generation
like
before millennials.
right, kind
Is
of
that
like
I
going.
don't know what it's called. Is it X? I don't know what it's called.
I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
it depends on what you which service you at talk to. I fall
Hmm.
inside that framework.
Right.
Um, I think that people talk about um, so I grew up in the era where we were fully aware of AIDS.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
really knew what that was. We saw. A lot of people in my generation saw that. So
Hmm.
um, we experienced at a young age. It's just like you think about now, this generation that's coming in through college. I think about my daughter, who's about to be in her 20s. She went through most of her adolescent, K-12 education, having to worry about school shootings, right? Not to get off topic, but
Hmm.
that is what kind of frames you. That's what molds you into adulthood. So when you're, in elementary school and middle school, and you're hearing about AIDS and HIV, and
Right.
the different girl did a whole episode about that, so you
Hmm.
learned about it and
I
you're like, oh man,
remember.
and then you have some of your stars that you knew growing up, like Magic Johnson, who contracted HIV, and then you have
Yeah, that was a big one.
Easy E Pass from. So all these people that we
Yeah.
knew growing up, you saw the effects of it, and it was publicized. So I think it's just taking care of your body. I know that um, you know there our generation before us, contraceptives were kind of new, right? It was kind of a new thing. I know the generation well before us, and I don't even know how often it was around. It
Right.
was pushed to use. Um,
Hmm.
our generation, my generation, I know that for a fact it was pushed to use, for safe sex. I mean, there was a whole campaign, safe sex campaign.
Right.
So
Yep.
that, like I said, that shapes you. That shapes you in the long run, and then you start weighing the pros and cons of how important is it to have,
Hmm.
because intimacy is so much more than just sex, right?
It
So
is.
once you just start maturing, you start to develop in your mind, and you understand I could be intimate with you, and we don't have to necessarily have sexual
Right.
intercourse. So
Right.
I think that's kind of I'm surprised with the data that you showed that the level the numbers for millennials has dropped, but I think it's because it's just knowledge. I think it's because knowledge,
Hmm.
education, they understand the dangers and things
That
that
makes
can
sense.
happen. Uh, they um, they're more uh, inclined to um, think about their job and their future and their career,
Hmm.
whereas generations prior, um, it was marriage, and
Yeah.
get your family, and then start and have your career develop as you're raising your family. And now you kind of see a shift in, no, get your
Hmm.
career and then start your family
Right.
once you kind of get your career set, and then to make sure if you have a goal to make sure you reach the goals career wise, or you
Hmm.
get on that path that you want to, or a lot of people feel a baby could stop me from doing that. All right. Or just
Hmm.
make it a little more difficult because now maybe I can't move move from here to there, take a job. I'm in this city or I'm in this state, and I can't just pick up and, hey, I'm in DC. Got a
Right.
job. I'm in DC. I got a
Hmm.
buddy of mine. He's worked in DC. He's worked in Cali. He's worked in Florida, but he's been able to move around like that because he doesn't have children. So I think just where people are, their mindset of what is important
Hmm.
has kind of shifted a little bit for both men and women. It has shifted a little bit, and
Mm.
that's why you see the starting age of people starting families, career people starting families, is pushing into the 40s.
Yep.
So
Right.
you're seeing,
Right.
a lot of my, I have children that are older, but a lot of my um, peer group, they have children under 10.
Hmm.
They have some have children of 5, right?
Oh wow.
So
Elementary school.
yeah, so and I'm mid 40s.
Hmm.
So when you're starting family that late, then that means you're focused on career, and you're saying, family can come. This is still a possibility for me later in life. I don't have to get pregnant. I don't have to start a family in my 20s.
Right.
I can wait until my 30s or 40s to start a family when I'm more established in my career.
Okay. Oh, that makes so much sense. That makes so much sense. Wow. Okay. My next question would be, do you feel so, and I know you cannot speak for all men, obviously, but if you had to make like a general statement, do you feel like men, especially African American men, do they prioritize their sexual health?
Um, I think so. I think that I think that we are, just like getting checked. I think that you have men, and like I said, I have people that I know that it's routine. It's like going to the dentist. It's like going to, you know, whatever. If they're they're getting in a relationship, they gonna get checked. They're
Mm-hmm.
getting out of a relationship, they gonna get checked. So I think that
Period.
um, understanding the ramifications of your life, and you want to live a long life, I think you have
Mhm.
to be disciplined um, in how you care for yourself. Um, Even though it includes sex education and sex health,
Mhm.
and even in that space, understanding and how what is healthy for you
Mhm.
as an individual. What does healthy sex look like for you? you know.
Right.
And I think that once you find that, and that comes with time and comes with experience and maturity. Um,
True.
I think that once you find that peace and find that place, you know, things just get a little bit better and a little bit easier to
Mhm.
navigate sexually.
Okay. All right. I agree. I agree. A lot of the times I agree with a lot of your points. Allie, you just don't know. I like to hear you speak. Like you put so much thought into like what you have to say, and it feels like you're not just coming from a place to say, okay, well, I just how you have some people that say things because you want to appease everyone, and you want
Hmm.
you want people to say, you know what, yeah, you're right, yeah, you agree, yeah, you agree. But when talking with you or speaking with you per se, it feels like you're, even if you go against the grain, like you're going to say how you feel, how you see it.
Hmm.
And I appreciate that authenticity from you.
Yeah.
When you
I
are
thought that's
answering
why I thought
questions.
that's why everybody got invited to podcasts to tell your
I
truth.
mean, yeah, but
you
some
know.
people don't want to. You don't have too many Corey Holcombs. Like Corey Holcomb is going to tell you how it is, how he feel about it. Like, hey, if you know what I'm saying? Like, if it's a duck, if it act like a duck, it's a duck. And some
Right.
people are scared to do that. And you're not. Alan is not afraid to be a Corey Holcomb. Like, if he feel like it's red and everybody else say it's blue, baby, sorry, it's red. Like, I
Yeah.
like that about you.
I appreciate. Now I can tell you, you'll have some people that know me that I've been told this before, uh,
Mhm.
that I tend to go uh, PG when I'm on the camera. But always tell them, I said it depends on the topic.
Mhm.
But I just want I don't my whole thing is when I come on here and I always appreciate when you. That's why I always jump at the opportunity to support you in your endeavor. Is that you know sometimes we as black, especially black men, we don't get a chance to um, tell truth.
Have a voice.
Yeah, we don't get a chance to tell our truth though. So
Mhm.
because we've through the time since we've been here, since we got a lot of us got brought here, our ancestors got brought here, we've always had to wear a certain face, be a certain way, you know,
Yeah.
have your hair cut, no tattoos, no this. You always had to fit inside this box for acceptance, and I understand that, right? As far as the past, and I appreciate the struggles and things that the previous generations had to go through um, in order for us to be here today. But I think in
Yeah.
this day and time, I think it's time for men and women to
Mhm.
tell their truth and not, I couldn't tell you the last time I wore a suit to work. I just,
Mhm.
it is not because
Mhm.
I don't want to. I love being in suits, but
Mhm.
I just don't want to be in it. That's just something I don't want to do anymore
Mhm.
because I know I don't have to. And I
Mhm.
think that's where we can, and coming on here and being able to the questions you ask and being able to tell truth. So hopefully somebody, hopefully it starts a conversation for somebody
Right.
else, and we can
I know
just grow
that's
from
right.
this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so I really, really have to ask this question now that I have a male on the show to ask the question when it comes to sexual health. So, we all know what double standards are, right? It's
Mhm.
okay for you, but it's not okay for me. So, I am representing the ladies when I ask this question, obviously. Why is it okay? You might already know what I'm getting at when it comes to sexual health. Why is it okay for a man to have multiple partners and it's like almost like he get dapped or oh yeah, you pulling hoes, whatever. But then when a woman, a mature woman, and emotionally well, she can be either emotionally or not emotionally mature, either or. But when she does the same thing, she's dating, whatever the case, and she has multiple partners, she's a whore. Why is and that double standard has been there for a while.
Yeah.
It's been talked about on other circuits, other podcast shows. Nobody really has the, one size fits all answer. What is Mr. Williams' answer to why there is a double standard for that?
All right. So, all right. Look, think of it like this. All right. Um, Say you have a glass of water, right?
Hmm.
But what's your favorite drink? Favorite drink?
I mean, I
Favorite drink?
like water with lemon. It's
Okay.
healthy and
So
it's
I got a
energizing.
glass of lemon water, right?
Mm.
Got a glass
Mm.
of it, right? And somebody, it's on the table. You just poured your glass of lemon water, right? And somebody walks past and grabs the cup. You still gonna drink that water? They just grab the cup. They just grab it. They just put their hands on the cup. Would
Mm.
you drink the water? Would you still drink that water?
No, probably not.
Okay.
Germs or whatever.
But but so most people, right, when you're doing that, but because it's on the outside, they put their hands on the outside of your cup. They didn't touch your
Yeah.
cup. They didn't touch what's inside the cup, right?
Mm.
I know for me, if I'm sitting there and somebody say, "Hey, is this your cup?" Yeah, no, that's my cup. I'm still gonna drink it,
Yeah, like
right?
don't touch my stuff.
Don't touch my, but I'm still gonna drink it, right? Now, if
Mm.
somebody came and took their fingers and put their fingers in my cup,
And it's a dude, and it's a dude.
It don't matter.
No.
It don't matter. It don't matter. You put your fingers in my
Okay,
cup,
okay, okay.
it has changed the nature of that drink, right?
Yeah.
You no longer like, hold on, wait a minute. And if you get a whole bunch of people coming to put, so I'm saying this even though I don't agree with it, right? I don't agree with the double standard, right? I don't.
Hmm.
No, I always feel like men could be hoes just like if that's what we're going to use, if that's what we
And
call it.
and
This
are
could
and
be
can be,
and
yeah.
women can that's just the thing. If you want to be promiscuous, then it's the same level. Men and women it's at the same level, right? Um,
Hmm.
but the reason I think that it sits there and it continues is for the reason that I gave you, versus an outside you touching the outside of the cup versus me going inside your cup, right? And I think that's why you have the difference in how people
Hmm.
treat the two experiences. You know what I'm saying? Um, and I just think uh, I think that it's your body. You do with your body what you want to do with your body. If
Hmm.
you're okay with it, we all have a history. We all have a past, right?
Hmm.
Uh, some of our past, some people's past is got a little more dirt in their past than other people.
Right. Hmm.
But
They say mileage. You got mileage,
yeah, but
body
um,
count, or whatever.
yeah, whatever, how you wanna call it. But
Yeah.
there's this thing called sexual freedom. You know, um, the hippies were fighting for that back in the '60s. You know what I'm saying? So this has been a thing. This has been a thing forever. It's nothing new. It's nothing new. They always say the oldest profession, is
It's
prostitution.
hoeing.
You know
It's
what I'm saying?
hoeing.
So this is gonna be around forever. I think it's about the maturity. I think more so how you carry yourself, right?
Hmm.
How you carry yourself. Because I've had this conversation before. And I
You
said,
right. You right.
um, somebody was talking to me and like, man, and they were talking pretty much about how women dress, right? You can walk into the
Yep.
grocery store and
Yep. We were just talking about that.
you see nothing but tights and yoga pants, and you like, man, back in the day, you wasn't seeing that.
Yeah.
And it's cross racial lines, of course, but that's you just see it all the time.
Yeah.
Um, and if you go back 20 years and you saw that same person in that same outfit, you would
Mm.
you would come to probably a false narrative of who that
Hmm.
person, who that woman was or who it is, right?
Yeah.
I've always said, listen, some of the most promiscuous women don't
Hmm.
dress like they are. They in suits.
Hmm.
They dressing the part. They dressing the part,
You talking
but
about
that don't
career
mean,
women?
as you say, that don't mean their body count ain't high,
Hold on. You
right?
talking about career women?
Yes, yes,
You
yes.
t-
Listen.
career women being a bust
Career
down
career women, people that you see, and sometimes we hold because they have this
with
profession
doctorate
or that
degrees?
profession or whatever it may be, that we hold them to this level, and they have more bodies. What we say, they have more bodies than than you would think. So just because you put on don't mean that your spirit's right. Don't mean that you like what you like. You roll how you roll, which is
Hmm.
fine. But it's how you carry yourself. When you
Hmm.
carry yourself like you out there and you wilding and blah 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 blah. You're not using
Hmm.
discretion. You're not just
Yeah.
using discretion and you letting everybody know, then that's on you, right? But
Hmm.
discretion is the key. If don't nobody know how you roll, then
Yeah.
no one could be talking about your business. Keep your business to yourself.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Yeah. You're
Oh
right.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Listen,
No, 'cause
I-
when you said career women, like I'm just like I don't know why. I'm just like, oh yeah, somebody would they would be yeah, yeah, they can. Even though if they look nice, lips and suit, going to work, yeah, they can still be. Yeah. You're right. You're right. You're
Yeah,
right. I agree. Hmm.
you know,
Okay.
have two or three of them at the same time and keep
Oh
them in different
Lord.
parts. I'm just speaking the truth. I'm just
Yeah,
speaking the truth. And I
you're
mean,
right.
and
I just never thought of it like that because I mean I consider myself a career woman and I'm just like I would hope that especially they should be you know what I'm saying.
certain professions are
And-
worse than others. I can tell you this from talking to both men and women. Certain professions, careers are worse than others when it
did
comes
you
down
just
to that.
Did you? Okay, so this I just saw this today. They were when they were saying about nurses, they were saying like nurses are like the profession with like one of the highest cheating rates or something like that. And they talking about how like single nurses trying to get with doctors, married doctors and all this, that and whatnot. You were saying different professions or whatever, and I just happened to think about that today, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh my
I just tell
god,
people do your research. I mean, it's out there. Like you said, it's out there. You know, you have some professions that you know, it's just men and women. And, you know, most
mm,
people we think, oh, it's the men. No, it's men and women. It's men
yeah,
and women. So,
you're
um,
right.
but again, you would never think that because of how they carry themselves, because they use
Mm-hmm.
discretion
Mm-hmm.
outside of amongst their people. So, um, I always thought that label, um, when we label somebody with that word, whether it's man or woman,
Mm-hmm.
I think we're more so talking about their lack of discretion. You know,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can
that
be
makes
that.
sense.
You can be that. You can have, if you want to have three partners at a time, you know, in different, that's fine. But how
Yeah,
are you putting on, how are you displaying that that's how you're rolling um, to other people,
mm,
to the world,
right.
right? And then if
Mm-hmm.
people around you like, man, she what? She break one, you know, or he has one in the house, and then he put that one outside the door, and the next one come in, you know, one in the
Right.
then you know now
One in the front door, one out the back
right,
door,
right. You
type
know, if
shit.
you roll like
Yeah,
that, then
yeah.
you don't get that label, you know. But if you're, I mean, let's be real. That's how you don't get the label, you know. Like, oh, because what ends up happening, you bump into each other, like, damn, you know,
Right.
yeah, okay, oh, let's make it happen. So, um, but that's how you get the label because you lack discretion. But I think that this, I just think discretion is the key, man. And anytime
Yes.
about
You're
uh,
right.
your sexual life, uh,
Mm-hmm.
somebody needs to know um, where you've been, what you're doing. Uh,
Yeah.
unless
All of
until
that.
you get married, and if you get married, then the only person who needs to know about your sex life is your significant other.
Period. So that brings me to my next point. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So back to the research. Millennials show more permissive attitudes toward non marital sex, but these attitudes do not necessarily correspond to increased sexual behavior. Analysis of U.S. adults across generations found that millennials were the most accepting of non marital sex compared to older cohorts. However, the number of sexual partners among millennials was lower, roughly turning roughly returning to levels seen in older groups rather than exceeding them. This points to a nuanced distinction between attitudes and actual sexual behavior. So when they say millennials are showing more permissive attitudes towards non-marital sex, but the attitudes don't correspond necessarily to increased behavior, does that make sense to you or not really?
Yeah, no. So it's this, um, it's the whole thing of the old school was wait 3 months, wait 5 months. You have a specific time when you have to wait in order to have sex, right? Or
Mhm.
don't have sex before you're married, period. Right? I know I know some people that I grew up with, some ladies I grew up with, they got married at like 15, 20 years old because they had
Mm-hmm.
didn't have sex and they was, wanting to have sex, so they got married early,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because that's what they want to do, because that's what they were taught. Don't have sex early. Don't have premarital sex. Um, so they waited, right? But now you have things. I always tell people, look, inside a relationship, there's multiple components, right? You have the intellectual piece, and you also, intellectual piece, and you have to have the physical piece as well, the financial and everything else. Um, but sometimes we wait on the physical, and
Right.
it's like this. It's
But that's
like
how we
look,
were brought up, though. That's as
right,
girls. As
but
girls, we were trained that way
right, but
to
understand
think
this.
that way.
But understand this. Andre 3000, he had a skit. It was a great skit. It was the night after. I think called it Night After, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where he's kind of it's kind of him thinking. He's the scene is he's kind of laying in the bed with a woman. They met. They had had sex on the first night. And her is she's talking in her mind and he's talking
Mm-hmm.
in his, right? And one of the things she said is, I hope she don't think I'm a hoe. I hope he says, I hope she don't think I'm a hoe. And he says, I hope she doesn't think that I think she's a hoe. She's just a woman that
Mm-hmm.
knows what she wants, and you know what I'm saying. I don't care about that. So I think that you gotta
Mm-hmm.
understand. This is my thought about it, right? And I look at this, and we have seen this where you're in a relationship, you're getting to know someone, you're becoming friends. Y'all are like, you love the conversation, you love this, like everything is going well, and then you all decide to get intimate, and it falls flat on
Mm-hmm.
the face, right? It falls flat, right? Y'all aren't connected in that level. Y'all don't connect intimately. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? So now you like, now you're in a hard, now you're in a heartbreak. Now you've been in this relationship for 6 months or however long, and you
Mm-hmm.
really like this person, but sexually they don't do nothing for you. So now
Mm-hmm.
it's just like having sex too early, and you like, this person, we connect sexually, sure, but then you're missing other parts, right? But the sex is so good, you
Mm-hmm.
can't get away. We have men and women that they're like that. They stuck in relationships
Yeah.
because of one or the other, where
Yeah.
either they really are friends and da 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 da, but the sex ain't good. And now most times out of 10, 9 times out of 10, if that's the case, somebody may get somebody may step out, right? Somebody just may
Mm-hmm.
step out because they're lacking something. And and for some people, that's an important part. The intimate part is an important part of a relationship. So,
For men. For
right, for,
men.
for men, for women too, for women too, for women too. Don't get it twisted. No, don't get it twisted. The intimate connection for
But like,
women
okay.
it is very much. Listen, when you have women, I know I've had conversations with
I
women
mean, you got freaky women,
that
I
that
know,
not
but
no
I'm
no
saying
it's not
like,
it's not even about free. It's about I know women who have had sexual encounters and was waiting for it and like really wanted it, and after was like, oh, I should have never done it. Why? He was a selfish lover, or he wasn't in tune with me, or blah 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 blah. There was a laundry list of things that was like, yo, this was just not a good experience. The experience,
mhm,
the thought of the experience was better than the experience itself, right? But it's an awakening. So it's not just men who value that. Women value it too. So I think that now with a lot of people in millennials, when you're talking about premarital sex, it's like, yeah, I ain't against it. Let's go ahead and get that out of the way. See if we connect there, right? If that's what we want to do. But that don't mean we have to, right? Because
mhm.
intimacy is so deeper than sexual intercourse.
But that's interesting to hear a man say that because I would expect. like somebody like me or my friends to say what you just said. It like sex is so much deeper than that. I would expect a woman to say that because we are emotional, nurturing. It's always, we're almost like wired because of our emotions. So I would expect, like, like I said, me or one of my friends to say that. So coming from a male, that's just so like a wow, like, situation, because it doesn't really it doesn't seem like that, because just because, like, I mean, a man, just general example, like a man can be dealing with somebody January, doesn't work out, he's with somebody new in April, whatever the case may be, doesn't work out, maybe even somebody new in May, like kind of like just, you're continuing to meet people,
Hmm.
having encounters and things like that, and it's like for you to go through multiple encounters in a short time span. And it's just like, I feel like my scenario would be contradicting what you just said. Like, how can you really, where is the emotional piece for a man? Like, that's just so crazy. It's just so crazy because we always say that women, we are putting our everything on the line. Not to say that a man is not, you're not to say that you're not putting your energy, your, inner spirit and everything, your feelings on the line, but it just in my psyche, in my,
Hmm.
mental mind frame, it's just like, where is, like, how do you know when the guy is actually emotionally connected to the act the same way that the female is connected to the act? Like, that's just so hard. It's so hard to read, y'all. It's irritating. It's so hard to read, y'all. Like, we always are the one to say, you know what, Brian, oh my goodness, like, it was everything, this, that, and the third. Like, I hope you're not dealing with anybody else on the level that you're dealing with me. And
Hmm.
like, it's like, how do you get that confirmation? How do you get that confirmation from the male? So, like I said, the fact that you said that there's much more than the physical act. There's an emotional aspect, but it is very hard to read a man that way, to say, okay, well, he got the same, he received that the way I received it also. Like, I don't just deal with anybody, like, you are that person, or whatever the, situation is, the understanding is between the two individuals. Like, it's just very hard to read men. So the fact that you just said that is very, for me, interesting.
So and they understand it's hard to read women as well because you have just and I love the parody because that's what we learned, right? We've learned, we hear it time and time again. Men are this way, women are this way, and we kind of live in that space, right? Um, but just like how women grow, I don't know who you're in your circle, but I'm sure most people know a woman that was in her teens and early 20s that was very promiscuous. And she may still be single, but now she's changed. She's different. She don't roll like that. You know what I mean? Or she, I mean, like that. And vice versa. You probably know some dudes that was nerded out and couldn't buy a girlfriend and couldn't get none. And now they, I hear,
Hmm.
pimp it or
I
just
do. He's
flip,
he's
or flip
married
that.
with a doctorate degree and just had a
Right.
baby. I do.
Or flip that where you have a dude who was, out here getting it all, getting with everybody, blah blah blah, and now he's like, man, I'm straight, right? I'm good. Um,
Hmm.
so it, everybody's different. Every relationship is different. I think that um, part of the process, right, is understanding that it's not just about you. Men have a tendency when it's sexually, men tend to be selfish, right? Sexually, right? That's just kind of what yeah, that's kind of how we learned, right? That's how we learn. But as you learn and you know more and you grow, you realize that it's supposed to be an experience and a fun experience for both parties.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be an enjoyable experience. You supposed to enjoy it as much as she's is supposed to enjoy it. So um, I think that understand, like I said, understanding that if you're trying to have an intimate moment, right,
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't necessarily mean having sex. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but reading the room, I couldn't tell you how to read this guy, this particular guy. Like, hey, look for these signs. 'Cause there's no playbook. Just like I couldn't tell just I couldn't tell a guy like, hey man, look for these signs, boy. You'll know what she about. No, it's like fishing. You gotta throw your rod out there. If you ain't, you gotta throw your bait out there and see what happens. Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you're gonna get the snapper, sometimes you're gonna get that's like, oh shit, we gotta throw this back. You know, we don't we ain't fishing for jackfish. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We looking for the red snapper. We looking for the bass. We looking for stuff that we get. You're right. To
Yeah.
eat. We're not looking for that track. But sometimes, in order to find it, sometimes you gonna look. You know, it's
Yeah.
stuff that you got to throw back. Right?
Yeah.
But how do you deal with it? Again, it comes back how you carry yourself. You know, if you're a person who says, I don't have sex till 3 months, not gonna do it.
That's what
Right.
Steve Harvey book said.
Right.
That's what he
I
said to
don't have
do.
sex.
3 months,
I don't have sex for
90
3 months.
days, 90 days.
Right. I don't have sex for 3 months. Okay. Then you have sex. The sex is trash. Now it's changed how you want to interact with dude, and now y'all end up breaking up. You find somebody else. You
If
give
that's
them
the
three,
reason that y'all broke up, then y'all really didn't have anything of
but
substance to
no, no, no,
begin with.
no, but no. If that is a important part of, if you're saying that for either for a woman or for a man, that is when it comes down to when I'm looking at uh, what I want, that is a important part of what I want. I want us to be able to connect on that level well,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Um, and sometimes the connection is not there. It's just not there, right? And if it's not there, it ain't gonna never get there. It ain't gonna just like, oh yeah, one day it just happened. No, it's not gonna get there, okay?
Hmm.
And you have to decide, am I okay with that, right? Or am I not? If
Yeah.
you're finding out any other flaws that when you're getting to know someone, when you
Hmm.
find a flaw in that person, you have to ask yourself, am I okay with that flaw? Can I deal with it? And if
Hmm.
you
For
all
the
get
long term.
right, and if you all get intimate and you like, I can't deal with this, I can't deal with that shit, and you end up breaking up, right? Now you've waited 3 months, you broke up, now you find someone else. That's another. You could potentially have 4 partners in a year, potentially,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Bad wife.
You
Yeah.
waiting, you're waiting for
Bad
three
wife.
months, right? Or again, you say, you know what? I it's an important part. It's just as important to me to find out if we connect on that level as it is for me to find out if we connect on an intellectual level, or to find out if we're connecting on a financial level, or everything else. It's that
Hmm.
important to me. So why wait 3 months? I ain't saying to go out and have sex with everybody, but you got to
Yeah.
know if the energy right, is the vibe right. You're like, you know what? I like, let's see, because this is gonna tell me real quick. 'Cause if you know what I'm saying, like if it's trash, I'm not too far. I'm not too far in. Where I'm like, okay, I gotta deal with this trash.
That sound
No,
like a guy.
you know what I'm
That
saying. I can
sound like
always,
a
I can always
guy. That
say
sound like a guy. Oh
no,
my
no. I'm no,
goodness.
listen. Females tell me this. It's not a guy thing. I've had females say, yeah, I got. Listen, they'll be like, I gotta know. But hey, what do you mean? You gotta know. I gotta know if we could connect on that level. And I
Yeah.
asked, why? Why do you have to know? Because if he ain't right, I can't do it. It don't matter how cute he is, how fine he is, how smart he is, all this other. If he can't handle me in that fashion, I just can't do it. I can't go. I can't live, and it's not good. Because then I got to do something else to satisfy myself. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
They're connected to them. They're connected to their sexuality,
Hmm.
right? So
Hmm.
it doesn't make them a whole. It makes them aware of what they want in a
Hmm.
partner. So me getting, I'm not saying first night, I ain't saying that, but me not setting a timetable on when it can happen and letting
Mhm.
it happen naturally. If it happens, if it the vibe is right and it happens on the second or third date, it happens on the second or third date, right? But when I put stipulations on when it can happen, I'm holding myself back. I'm holding myself back. So, and I know you're gonna say that's such a man's point of view, but like I said, I've had these conversations because I like to know. I like to ask questions. I like to know. Um, and I've had these conversations with women, and and I was surprised with their answer and with their choices. And then I when asking them why, them saying, I want to know if we connect on that level, that's important to me.
Mhm.
And that made sense to me. I didn't look at them like, oh yeah, you oh no, that made sense to me. And it makes a lot
Mhm.
of sense to me because if I'm connected with you and we have a great friendship and we connect on every level, and then I decide to do that and we just it falls flat,
Mhm.
it's just as difficult as being in a relationship and you realize that Joe got bad credit or something. You know what I'm saying? Y'all can't
You
build nothing.
can,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? So,
Mhm.
but no, I just think that um, we have to, that is part of sexual maturity. That's part of
Mhm.
discipline. That's part of sexual freedom, right? Being free, both men and women, to say it's okay for it to happen naturally whenever it's going to happen. It doesn't make me a whole or doesn't make me any less important. Or I don't demean myself by
Mhm.
engaging in this act
Mhm.
because it it just feels right. It feels like well, this is supposed to happen, right? This is
Mhm.
going to happen. So yeah, I'm cool with the premarital um, sex. I mean,
Understood.
yeah, if you're gonna do it, just be safe, be smart. Um,
Yeah.
you
Be
know,
smart. Yeah.
be smart about it. Like I said, it's about your discretion. Um, you still have a lot of women, and particularly you that still have a lot of churches um, that preach, and a lot of religions that preach no premarital sex, which is fine. To each his
Mhm.
own. Um,
Yeah.
you still have in some countries, you still have women getting circumcised. So um, yeah, 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 yeah. You still have some women getting circumcised because in their culture, uh,
Oh yeah.
women are not
Yeah.
supposed.
Yeah. 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 I heard about yeah.
Sex is not supposed to be enjoyable for women,
Yeah. I did hear about that.
right?
Okay. Yeah.
It's supposed to be
Mm.
for the purpose of um, reproduction, reproducing. So, um,
Yeah.
but thank goodness we're in a country where we have the freedom to express ourselves sexually and have sexual freedom. And I think that you see more women um, being comfortable in their
Mhm.
sexuality, being comfortable in their
Mhm.
space, and not feel like they have to explain or feel like they are being judged or
Yeah.
they're being to be judged um, because they're choosing to um, think not outside the box, but go against the norms and things that we've been taught for so many years.
Yeah. Social norms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how women are supposed to act and how they're supposed to protect protect you heard women, you witnesses in the church,
Yes,
protect
yes. Your
your
body
children,
is a
protect
temple. You
you
know
first,
this.
protect
Yes.
you
Your body
first,
is a temple.
yeah,
Protect your box at
yeah,
all costs.
right,
Yes.
yeah. So
Hello.
and
Hello.
and again, and I think that you know what you preach is I think that's I think it's to each his own, but I think it's just more important to teach people and teach young people discretion, teach them self-worth, teach them
Hmm.
to respect yourself no matter what you decide to do. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
respect yourself, right? And be okay with the skin that you in. Like if that's
Yeah.
you realize, because you gotta realize sometimes, so, for some women and men, The reason they acting like that is because of their past trauma, right? You know,
Mm,
you have some men and some women who've been molested as children, and that's how they express love. They don't know because somebody who they was supposed to love them touched them, and now that's or they're just numb to it. So we can't judge a person because we don't necessarily always know their history and why they are the way they are. And then for some, when they, it's just like anything else, they become addicted to that feeling, to that rush. We got addiction doesn't stop. This is not just about alcohol and drugs. You
yeah.
know,
We know
you
that's
know,
one. We know that's
yeah.
one.
You have people who are addicted to working out. You have people who are addicted to healthy eating. You have people who are addiction is addiction. If you have an addictive personality, you know, it doesn't matter what it is. It's just, oh shoot, you're addicted to that. And next thing you know, that's just what it is. You have people who are addicted to porn,
They said
so
Kurt Franklin was. I don't know if you heard that. Like he's a gospel artist,
mhm.
but they said that he was dealing with that earlier in his life, and that it caused some problems in his marriage. That he was
Yeah,
addicted to porn.
yeah. I've had people tell me they're like, yeah, I was addicted to that shit. I couldn't every time I turned around, I had to have it on. Even after like I just had sex and I still had to I
Yeah.
had to go watch some porn. I'm like, that's not like really. So um, but if you have an addictive personality, you can't control when it kicks in, right? You can't control when it
Mm-hmm.
kicks in. So I think all of us on some level have some form of an addictive personality uh, to certain things. But um, when it kicks in, you can't control it. So if you're addicted to sex, if you're addicted to drugs, it's still it's
Yeah.
still
Okay. My last talking point, and I had is some research to kind of go with it real quick. All right, so this last point, sexual health experiences and resource use among millennial women reflect both awareness and ongoing challenges. Among millennial women, about 18% report having used emergency contraception at some point, and nearly 7% report an unintended pregnancy personally through the experience, though the experience is more common in their social networks. Additionally, sex education exposure, it varies, etc., etc. So with the 18% millennial women having used emergency contraception, I think in this day and time we would call that like a plan
plan B.
B. Plan B, and then you have your 7% that report an unintended pregnancy. It was not on purpose, but it's something
Mhm.
that happens. I mean, something that happened because they, did not use contraception. So, my question to kind of sum all of that up and to get your input on that is someone who has sexual discipline going to be in a situation where you need plan B? Number one, where you need plan B, and then number two, like, is it like what is it for the man, for the 7% that had the pregnancy, the unintended pregnancy? Like, what is it the man to even ask her to have an abortion? Like, I know that's like part one, part two situation, but part one being the plan B situation, and then part two with the 7% having the unintended pregnancy. Like, as a man's perspective, how do you view that?
So one, we have to understand that it's not always the man who's saying, "I'm getting this abortion." It's not. Some career-driven women like, look, I got a plan, and this ain't part of it. I'm gonna get an abortion, and the man got to sit there, and that so that's an interesting conversation because I always it's we had a conversation uh, regarding this one day. And it was one of those things where you say, you know what, woman wants to have, if a man and a woman lie together, have unprotected sex, they both know the risks,
Mm-hmm.
right? If they get pregnant, the woman wants to have it, the man doesn't. The man goes on child support, right? There's a consequence. She's gonna have it. You're gonna be on child support, and you're gonna be paying for the baby, right? Or you're gonna be in that baby's life, however, whatever it is. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But here's where there's no consequence. Man and woman, same man and woman, same scenario. The man wants to keep the baby, and the woman doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's
Mm-hmm.
no consequence for that. And feminists will say it's the woman's body; she can do what she wants. Yes, right.
Mm-hmm.
If the man is saying, I don't want to have this baby, and you're choosing to have the baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of that shaky water. So, but um, that kind of go, but what you just read kind of goes against what I was saying earlier as far as them having low premarital sex, or the premarital sex, they're not having premarital sex as often. Um, you're still having those who are. Um, Sometimes they're not using contraception. You know, sometimes they're not, and they're saying, "Look, there's other options. We could, you know, I take this Plan B and blah blah blah." I don't think that people who are doing that way are using uh, abortion or Plan B as um, is their safe sex, or
Mm-hmm.
a way to not get pregnant. I think that's, or not have a baby. I think that is, um, I don't think that it falls under sexual discipline. I think you're sexually undisciplined if that is what you're choosing to do. If you're choosing to have unprotected sex, and as a man or a woman, and because there's too much out there.
It
There's too
is.
many forms of contraceptive that are out there that you can use as a woman, as a man. You have some guys say, "I don't like using condoms." That's fine. You ain't got to. Then, if you have a sexual partner, then she needs to be doing something too, right? Or you need to find some alternative or whatever, right? Um, so I think that if you're gonna do that, and your
So
inclination is,
accountability on both parts.
yeah, and I think that, but if your inclination is, I just use Plan B, or if it does happen, I just get an abortion. That's not, no, that's immaturity. That's I don't think that is how you should operate. And I mind you, what I've said this 20, 30 years ago, when I was 18, 19, 20, probably not, right? Probably not. So you learn more, and you learn and you
You
grow, and
matured.
yeah, you mature, and you realize, like, you know what, that's probably not the best course of action. you know
Mm.
um, if you can't protect yourself, then you put yourself in harm's way anyway, by never
Yeah.
using protection. All the sexual transmitted diseases,
Yeah.
sometimes
It's
you can't
not worth
see.
it, especially
Yeah,
now.
sometimes you can't see
Not
them
worth
just
it.
because, that don't mean you ain't gonna get it, right? Don't mean you
Mm-hmm.
ain't gonna get it. Just because you like, oh man,
Mm-hmm.
it look good, whatever. Because it's
Mm-hmm.
too late once you have it. There's some you can't get rid of. Like, you get herpes, you can't get rid of that. You have it for life. So is it worth the potential consequences that you can have, having unprotected sex? But yeah, I don't think that, I've never been a fan of Plan Bs and things of that nature. I think that uh, if you're going to have unprotected sex, and you have the wherewithal to say, I'm ready to take on the risk that
Mm-hmm.
comes with that. Um,
Yeah.
so again, may not have said that 20, 25 years ago, but
Right.
now this
That's
age,
all.
I understand it now.
Yeah. Because I mean, we're living in the now, so I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, that means a lot. That means a lot. All right, Mr. Williams, I want to thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
on the podcast. Yet again, I always appreciate your insight because, like I said, I really respect your authenticity. Like you are going to tell it the way that you see it from your experience, from culturally or just in general. I just appreciate your views and just being steadfast in who you are as a person. I feel like it goes back to self-awareness. You seem very self-aware as a man and in your skin and who you are and what you represent. And I think that means a lot when it comes to bringing coming to the conversation. So I just want to say thank you so much for being on the show again. Thank
Thank
you.
you for having me. Anytime. I'm always, I always appreciate this second time being on, and I really do appreciate the platform and the questions that you're asking and how you're trying to give a voice to people who may not feel like they have a voice, and that's so important for us in this day and age to have everybody's voice be heard, and to be able to get it from different perspectives. Next time I hope I get a chance to come on and there's somebody here that has a totally different opinion of the subject than and we can sit down and we can come to
Yeah.
maybe agreement, but still come to an understanding. I think the only way for us to grow in this world is for us to listen uh,
Yeah.
one another and learn and see what that side, how that side
Mhm.
feels, how they are looking at the same thing. So
Mhm.
I just appreciate you having on and having me on. Thank you.
Yes, no doubt, no doubt. All right, so I just want to say at the end, like of every episode, moving forward with our new podcast. So in the new year, 2026, we want to always check our mood and protect our peace, not to let anybody dim our light, no matter what. Remembering that self-awareness is the real flex. Until the next time.